Talking about verses. They're talking about verses.
Good night, sleepyhead. Well, it's time to go to bed. Say goodnight, sleepyhead. I said good night, sleepyhead. Well, it's time to go to bed. Say goodnight, say goodnight.
Alright, guys, and welcome to another episode of Goodnight, Sleepyhead. I am your host, Stephen Harwood.
And I'm Jason Harwood. No, I'm just kidding. I'm Jason Chapman.
And he is also your host. We are your hosts.
I'm the host.
Welcome to another episode
With
of
the most.
Goodnight,
Sleepyhead. Yeah. You know, I really like the intro you made for us.
Thank you
for
very
this
much.
season.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's very...
Kind of went into some... It's my jazz era there.
I asked you to make a song for season 2, and what did you do?
I tried, yeah.
You made a heck of a song
thank
for
you.
season 2.
I tried to make it as smarmy and greasy and lounge lizard and Vegas-y as possible. So
Smarmy. It is very... I do like that, and sometimes I wake up in the morning. That's the first thing I hear in my head.
Oh.
Like, I sleep here.
Well, you had said you didn't necessarily say jazzy, but you said you wanted a theme song that was kind of upbeat and fast.
Yeah,
and
that's
like,
exactly what I
right,
said.
there you go.
Exactly.
And me being the lover of jazz that I am, I was like, well, here we go. It's gonna work.
So tonight, I'm going to share a dream that I had about 2 nights ago.
Okay.
So you have not heard this. Sometimes you hear my dreams before we do the show.
Yeah, but this one is...
This is brand new out of my head. All right, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
So, it's not a nightmare, because we were going to feature nightmares, but I have to tell you this one. And so, in the dream, all right?
Okay.
I dreamt... This might be a short episode, by the way.
Really?
I dreamt that I worked at a comic book store. Okay?
Now, that would be pretty cool for you.
Yes, it'd be excellent for me.
Because you do comic books. As a matter of fact, don't you have some over there?
Yep, that's what those are.
I can't see them over there, people, but they're there.
But
trust me.
But I didn't own the comic book store. My current boss that I work at right now was the owner of the comic book store.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
At the police station?
Yeah. So I was like, okay, that's fine. And it was all first person. You know, sometimes I dream first person and third person. This was all first person, which made it cool. Somehow,
in the way she moves.
Exactly. I got superpowers. I found a helmet that I don't think you ever watched this. This might have been before your time, but there was a cartoon called Mask.
I've heard of Mask.
And
one of my friends likes Mask.
Good. So you've heard of it. And the helmet that I would wear was like a matte tracker, and I'll have to show it to you later, a matte tracker helmet. So I put the helmet on. I acquired it somehow in my dream. But I turned into different animals like some comic book characters do, like Animal Man and Vixen. I think she had powers that turn herself into different animals. But in my dream, I would have to grab put the matte tracker helmet type mask on, and grab the mouthpiece. And I would have to shout out like the animal into the mouthpiece. And then I would literally, in the dream, turn into that animal.
Really?
Which was so cool.
That is pretty
And I was outside practicing, really not trying to hide my secret identity, I guess. But I was outside at my boss's house. Maybe he gave me the helmet? I don't know. But... I don't know where that came from. But so I was, and my dad was there, and they were cutting wood for some reason. And so I'm out there by the car.
They weren't cutting cheese?
No, I like cheese.
I like cheese.
But so I would like run as fast as I can, and then grab the mouthpiece, and I would shout out, "Dog!" And it would like,
you turn into it.
Yeah, and next thing you know, I'm on all fours, but small. And I guess as a dog, I had the helmet on still. I don't know how that worked. But I remember like looking in first person dream, I remember looking at my hand, and I saw paws.
Wow.
And I'm like, man, that's freaky. So I was like, that is so cool. Then to turn back, I would grab the mouthpiece and shout, "Human!" And then And then I would turn back to me. And then my dad says, well, you're not going to be much of a superhero if you have to shout out what you're going to be. There's no element of surprise there.
Your dad would say that, though.
Yeah, that's what he would say. And I was like, yeah. So I try to practice this whispering in it. He goes, practice whispering in it.
I liked him.
Who?
Whisper.
Oh, from James Bond?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody home?
From Living Let Die.
Would you like for me to open it?
Is he still alive?
No, Earl Jolly Brown, he passed away.
Oh, rest in peace. So, in the dream, I would, like, run as fast as I can, and I whispered into the mouthpiece, dog! And nothing would happen. So, I had to shout it out. And then I was like, I wonder if I could turn into a bird. So, I'd run as fast as I guess I had to run. So, I would run as fast as I could, and I grabbed the mouthpiece, and I said, eagle! And next thing I know, I was flying. It went, whoo, 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 whoo. I could feel that the mass of my body is, turned into a bird mass, I guess. And then next thing I know, I was flying, and I remember looking down at my dad and my current boss, and they're like looking up at me flying away. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, this is so cool, until you know how birds can, like, especially like big birds like eagles and hawks and vultures, they can just kind of
glide in the air.
And so I started gliding. I was like, well, this is cool. I'm staying in one spot. But the wind caught me and took me straight up in the air.
Oh, no.
And went so high, I didn't know what to do. I started freaking out. I guess as a bird, I still had that helmet on. I don't know, but I was just like, oh, crap. It's just like all the ground was just vanishing. Wow. And I didn't know what to do. And then I went inside the clouds. And next thing I know, I went above the clouds. And the sky was blue, and I got so high, I just got into that outer atmosphere, and the sky turned black because I was like way up in space.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I was like, I can't breathe. And then I passed out, and I was kind of trying to come to when I was falling back to the earth. I'm like, well, I'm going to die. And then right before I hit the ground, I started fluffing my wings as hard as I could, and then I, and I caught myself right before I hit the ground. Mm-hmm. And then my wing grabbed the mouthpiece and said, human! And I turned back to a human. I'm like, well, that sucks. And I looked at my watch, and I was like, I'm so tired, but I got to go to work. So I went to work at the comic book store at some huge mall that we don't have here in our hometown.
Of course. And
my boss was on the phone. He goes, I'll be right with you for a second. I need to talk to you. I said, okay. And I was all like, wow, I can't believe I turned into a dog, a bird. That's amazing. And then I looked over across the mall where my comic book store was to the other side. I was like, oh, there's a bookstore over there. I'll check that out. So I walked over there. Then I woke up.
So you never knew what your boss was going to talk to you about?
No. But why would I go from a comic book store to a bookstore?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But the freakiest part was turning to all those animals and actually experience flying and looking down and seeing your wing or your paw. Man, I slept. I woke up feeling so well. I'm like, man, that was cool.
That is cool.
And it's one of those days I didn't have to go in as early to work, so I just kind of laid there and reminisced about that whole thing. It was awesome. Yeah. I liked
You said it.
What?
Reminisce.
Reminisce. I did say it.
You can say it.
Yeah, Chapman and Harwood. We have a new show eventually coming called Chapman and Harwood Reminisce.
About nothing.
About nothing. So expect that on our Facebook thing. I couldn't say it earlier when we filmed this.
But now you can.
How did that happen?
Cheese.
I like cheese. How do we get a hold of you? Like the video just stopped?
Yeah, you can get a hold of me at scharwood@gmail.com.
And you can get a hold of me at Goodnight Sleepyhead Show at gmail.com. You like my shirt?
I do like your shirt.
You know where you can get one at?
Where can you get one?
You can't.
Black hole, black hole. When you look at me, black hole. Yeah, black hole, black hole. When you look at me, black hole. Communists, black hole, black hole. When you look at me, black hole. Maximilian Help me. Fools!
Works.